Hi, my friend, it's Pat Sloan here. So today is kind of a bonus day for you because I messed up. If you were looking at the calendar today, it says no video. But in my head, I hadn't planned this off. Even though I did the calendar, a month ago, I totally forgot and, was getting ready to do all this and everything. And I'm looking at the calendar to remind myself of anything I don't want to miss. And I'm like, oh, but okay, so I'm doing this anyway. It is nice and easy this week, lots of fun and relaxing videos. That's what my decision was. And somewhere probably in August, I will take a longer break just because August is one of those months anyways where a lot of people are kind of here, there. I know when I used to do the podcast in August, it was terrible to get guests because they were not available. People were off, and I would actually book guests because I did it live, so they had to be where they could get on the phone. And so I would be booking guests in like April for August to get on their schedules. It was crazy. Okay, so what do we have today? First of all, I totally left off the very last What's in Your Closet quilt, which is this gorgeous beauty by Vicki. So Vicki used my drawing room fabric. She did all 12-inch blocks and a few more, and it turned out spectacular with the piano key border. So I'm sorry I missed that. Somehow I didn't drag the photo down. It happens. It's all a manual process. I have to manually match my talking to the quilt after I talk through it. So that gives me the best audio to do it that way because I talk into a recorder. So anyways, it's a process when I do these parades. They're a little time consuming to put together, but I love doing them. So there you go. There's Vicki's in all her glory. It is just gorgeous. Thank you for sharing, everybody, your What's in Your Closet. I see more of them showing up in the group Quilt Along with Pat Sloan at Facebook. So be sure you hop on over there. So I had to go over and double check, but both of the dino bags that I showed you, this great big one, which fits the 18-inch board, so you can purchase the boards. You can, of course, make your own boards, but I don't feel like making boards. I just buy them. And so they fit in there, and then I'm keeping blocks in here that are bigger. So that one's back in stock, and so is the smaller Dino project bag back in stock. You bought the owls. The owls are gone again. They do have a notify, so I don't know how long they make these or how many, if they can get them again, but the dinos are there. And leave me a comment because I started sort of semi-auditioning the dino fabric for a crush quilt or Liberty Hill, depending on where you're getting my pattern. In the book, it's called Liberty Hill in blue. But I started auditioning. Let me just show you one of the pictures. I was kind of laying out a block with a dino in the middle and then a stronger color and then having the center of that big print. And so if you think you want to see a little bit more of that auditioning process, leave me a comment and maybe I'll pop that in and do it tomorrow for tomorrow's video. The thing is, the border is 10 inches. I need 10 inches to get a little bit above the scenery so that you can kind of see. And then I'm thinking the interior would be the black with the aqua on it. And it makes that quilt a lot bigger. It makes that quilt a lot bigger to put a 10-inch wide border on all four sides. But that's the spectacular part of that border. So the thought processes are there, and I was taking a look at it. So if you are interested, leave me a comment here at YouTube. Let me finish up the Heart of America backing because I got it sewn on. So here we go. I put on a top and a side of the floral. Let me just show you. Top and a side of the floral. And now I have to decide, well, before I do that, let me just show you. I went through and showed you, because it was late, so the lighting is dark, and that's just the way it is because I'm showing you real life. But I showed you sort of cutting out the sides of this, which were length of fabric. Because this is directional and I want to do the length of fabric, so that's what, you know, all of this is, length of fabric. You can see out here, there it is, yardage, yardage, the whole length. So the seam, I mean that's the seam, the fold, here's the fold mark that you normally, you know, when the two sides are together. So I've got it open, so this is all the way open. There's the yardage out that way. And then what I'm doing is using my 20.5-inch square to cut, I need basically I need two 8-inch strips, length of fabric, the length, so that it goes down the whole length of the quilt. And this easier for me to go ahead and line up the 17 over here, which I'll then cut this in half, and then cut along. Rather than trying to measure something, I'm using this outer edge and just going along until I get to the pin. So I know how far I want to go. As long as it hasn't come out, here's my pin. So that's the pin where I'm going up to there to cut. I'm gonna like be sure that's in here a few more times. Just weave it in so that it doesn't fall out. That would be the worst, wouldn't it? Then I have to measure everything again, and I would not be happy. I would not be happy. So I just have to go along, but I really don't care too much how everything is situated, because I'm going to line up my 17 over there, so that as I get to each, you know, each cutting unit as I'm sliding along, then I just cut that length. So then all of this can be used. It's more than half of the width, and so I've got great amount of fabric. And this is going on the sides of that backing for Heart of America. Once again, in case you forgot why the heck I'm doing this, it turns out because it's directional. I was like, oh, I need to make it that way. Okay, where'd that pin go? Where did the pin go? Oh, here it is. Okay, so I've got the pin right here. Right here. So I'm almost there. Just this much more, and I will have the piece. So let me just go ahead and cut, and then I'll show you. Cut, cut, cut. Was it got one more maybe? So the pin is here, and what I'm going to do is pull it out, and I will slide just a little bit past, because I'd rather give myself a little bit of extra, and then cut across. So now I have this long strip here. This is a great use for your big square ruler. So here is the length of fabric for the backing. So I need half, one on either side, so it's nice and symmetrical. so I'll now cut this in half, which is a lot easier to deal with. I didn't want to have to scoot that thing along there twice. This is much easier. I can fold it. I can fold it up like so. Hold on. So I can do like this, right? So you can just, I'll fold it neatly, but you can go ahead and get it folded, you know, then you fold it again, nice and neat, and then I can just cut it down the middle. So here it is. I folded it neatly, and I just kept this outer edge, and because these are on the sides, it's not precision patchwork, it's the backing, it's the very sides of the backing. I don't need to be crazy about stuff. Whoop, need to pull it over. Okay, so I just need a little past 8 is the half. I'll just line it up and cut it in 2. So now I have one side and the other side, and that is for the backing. So if that looks kind of confusing because you've never done length of fabric, let me just show you what it looks like now. This is where it would normally be folded. Here's the fold that you buy yardage, right? Here's the selvage down here, a selvage. And so this is what I cut out, that piece. So you can see here, it was long for the length of the backing, long, until I get to here. And this is now, you know, like just like you buy it off the bolt, you know, folded in half. Let me just hold this up so you can see here. This is how you normally buy the fabric. And when I do length of fabric, I am cutting, whoops, you got to see it on this side. I am cutting away on one of the sides, this whole sheet. And just to reiterate that I cut a wider chunk that was enough for both sides, because it was easier for me to split it in half as a smaller unit than to scoot along and cut twice. So just think through your process sometimes. You can give yourself a little helping hand like that. Now for me, I always mark my top and bottom, or not top, bottom. I mark the top. I mark the top of all my backings, because sometimes you feel some image is directional and your long armor may not notice that. So you should always mark top and bottom of both your top and your backing. Like, so for me, this border, the reason I was cutting it length of border mostly was because I felt like this image is directional. And so I have to decide, is it upside down right now? Or is this right side? Like this. So I think this looks more right side up to me. For some reason, I like those white flowers, those gray flowers up. So that means, oops. My remote. So that means I am going to mark this as the top. And so how do I mark it? I staple a note. So I will take a note that says top and I will staple it to the fabric. And the reason why I staple it is because, one, I don't want to put a pin in there and have my friend stick herself. No. And I used to ship these, so people were getting them out of a box. You certainly do not want anybody jabbing themselves with a pin. Okay, let's staple it. So I just staple it on here, and the staple comes out. I'm doing this stapling backwards. There we go. So I just staple it on there. Staples come out super easy. I could use a clip, like a Wonder Clip, but once again, after years of putting stuff in boxes, if people are taking things out, this clip might just have accidentally, when shipping, like maybe shook, and maybe it's not on the edge now for some reason, or they pick it up and they bump it and it falls off, and then the paper's loose and they don't know what's the top anymore. So a staple will keep your things where you keep your note where it should be. And I do that for the back and the top. I just wanted to say that again, because it's super important, because even if your top is pieced, you might have a directional fabric or something in there, or just the coloration. Maybe you have it weighted a little bit more on the bottom that's dark, and the person you're giving this to has no clue what's in your mind about it. Even if you tell them, they may not get to the quilt for a while, even if they took notes. Maybe their notes won't make sense to them anymore, and or they think they got it correct. To be absolutely 100% sure that everybody understands what's going on, mark your top and mark your back with what is the top edge, so that the people you're working with know what's going on. Okay, so that is my big tip for the day. This is actually going to my long armor today that I'm filming this. Just an FYI, my long armor is somewhat retired from long arming. I'm pretty much her only customer. But she does a lot of charity work. She does other things. She travels. And so my pieces fit into her schedule when she's around. So I asked if she has a couple pieces right now, and I asked if she could bump this one ahead of another piece, so that, because it's the Americana and I want to display it. And she's like, yes, I'm just getting back in town tonight, which is when I wrote her. So see, she's been off and about. So anyway, that is what's going on with Heart of America. I do need to do the binding. So let's take a look. For binding, I got the patterns, got stuff. What have I got in here? Do I have blue? Yes. Okay, so what I want to do is, I could do red, because I actually have, okay, do I do blue or red? Blue or red? Blue or red? Oh my goodness, I forgot I had red. I forgot I had red. Okay, so this is a big dilemma, because of course red But the front, you know, the front has a lot of blue, and so I had thought maybe I would just do blue, and if I did, I would do it kind of scrappy, but I see I also could just do, I could just do a whole piece of blue. But this is a thought process. Maybe you do this as well. You look at that and you think, I have a bunch of this. What else am I going to use it for but binding? You know, like they're smaller pieces because they were left. Would it be better just to use them up because then I can use it up? Then I keep a larger piece which might be more useful for something else, either for a full binding on something else or actually for patchwork, and then just use all these guys up because there's probably plenty here, and if not, I can add in some of this. So that is where my thought has gone lately, is because these are fairly small pieces. They'd probably just be considered, by me, scraps. I probably would not keep these because right now I'm just not making scrap quilts to go back and get little pieces like this. They just, you know, like here's one piece which probably wouldn't even be used, but this is what I got. So see, I got plenty. I got plenty to do binding on that with the blues. So I think I'm going to go with the blues. I think I'm going to be frugal. Now this will go in my scrap bin, or I will cut it into 2.5-inch squares and take the extra bit for a scrap bin. And the scrap, well, they're scrap bags. The scrap bags then go to the charity groups because there are people who like to play with them. Okay, so that's what my next thing is for this, and then I can have it ready for when it comes back from the spa, being long-armed. All right, let's take a look up at the picnic quilt for the next step. My next step anyways. So I'm channeling mushrooms today because, look, mushrooms, see, one of our friends sent me these. Oh, it's raining again, yeah. And we need the rain, right? No, we don't. We have lots of rain, but we get it often enough. But it is nice now I don't have to water. But it is raining, so I do feel a bit like a mushroom. That's just the vibe. That's the vibe I'm going for. Okay, we are going to, I'm going to get we're going to get the other camera, and I am going to put more of those up. This is still what was there from the other day. So let me just stick a few more up, and I'll have the other camera, and we'll think about where it's at. Here or more up on the wall. It is 13 across, and I believe it's 11 down. So I do need 2 more rows to do 13 by 13 because I am going to switch it to 13 by 13 instead of 15 by 15, which will make it like 9 inches smaller than the original. Because I think what I'm going to do is take these extras and cut them into strips as a border. So we're going to audition that tomorrow. We'll look at that tomorrow, that concept. But I can, yeah, wouldn't that be cool? I could just, and then I can use these up. You know, I'm just like I talked about for the binding, using it up. Okay, the other thing I wanted you to look at is I put in, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I would need like 5. Let me put 1 down there. Well, I don't have another stripe cut. That's all I cut. So because of the layer cake, I forgot, is a layer cake. So it's going to make an even number. If I wanted to put more of these, I can do at least 1 more, but I've got 2 rows down here. So I would probably go for 7 of them if I'm going to do that. And because I do have a little extra yardage that I got of it, I can easily do that. And I'm debating. Tomorrow I will take them out and show you what it looks like without them, and so we can see if it makes a difference. I'm also not like too crazy on color placement yet. What I'm doing is now I'm sort of trying to meld them around. Like there might be a little bit too much of a pink thing going here, but maybe not, because I still have 2 rows, and I will keep this width. I said that's already 13. So that is what I'll be working on, is kind of laying it out and seeing how the colors flow. Oh my gosh, this is so much fun to do. And I know a couple of you have already shared in the Quit Along with Pat Sloan group. Some of yours in progress, auditioning. They are just going to be amazing. If you have not drank the Kool-Aid yet, if you haven't decided that you're going to do the picnic quilt with me, just look around to see what you have. Do you have a layer cake that would work? Do you have a bunch of scraps maybe that would work? You just need that strong dark, which will help you out. A lot of people are just going through their scraps. The medium can be a ton of different fabrics. I think the key is that hold that dark so that you get that difference. And the light needs to be pretty light so that you don't lose your medium tones. So a strong dark and a strong light, and then you can do scrappy in between. Yes, and I will do a parade eventually of some of yours if I collect them up. If you share them. You got to share them. Can't do a parade unless you share them. All right, my friend. I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. I will see you online.